Trigger warning. This book talks about death, and it's one of the most depressing books in the Bible. Though it might be depressing, it's also the reason why I love this book so much. If I have a personal tier list for the books of the Bible, I will put Ecclesiastes in S tier. For those who think the Bible is overly positive and grew up having a skeptical or pessimistic view to life, then this book is for you. This book goes deep into answering the age-old question, what is the meaning to life? And it's something that everyone struggles with because of the simple fact that we are all going to die soon. So how do we use this short earthly life that we have? Though I don't have to tell you that we will all leave this earth eventually, you might think that death is very far from you. And that might cause you to not treat this topic seriously. That is, until you experience the death of someone in your life. I remember this when I was 9 years old. My grandmother passed away and I was crying a lot, being scared of people around me dying. For the past 1 to 2 years, I've been deeply thinking about this. If I die tomorrow, would I say that my life was well lived? Would I have any regrets? That's why it's important I start thinking about what life is about. Last year, I've gone to more funerals than I would have liked to. I've got so many people in my personal circle who lost their grandparents, even parents. But these people died at an old age. I am so young. I have many decades before I have to think about death. Well, you don't need me to tell you the grim truth that some people die at a young age. Let me give you a real example. 2 years ago, there was a youth in my church that passed away. It was so sad seeing his parents give a testimony about their late son. He died at 23 years old. I am about to become 23 years old. If I have the same fate as him, if next year comes and I get killed, I better start thinking about what life is about. I better urgently begin answering what is the meaning of life. Now some of you younger ones might think that you are super young, surely you have a lot of time left, right? Well, let me give you another example then. 10 years ago, there was a youth that passed away in my church. I remember that day we were in the sanctuary, and before we split out into our small groups, the youth leader went up on stage to give a eulogy, talking about how that youth was when he was with the group. And then I saw that group crying over the loss of their friend. This youth passed away due to food poisoning at 15 years old. Some of you are about to become 15 years old. What if you share the same fate as that youth? What if you only have this little time left in your life? You know how fast time passes. Therefore, you would probably want to urgently start asking what life is about. What if you keep avoiding this topic? What if you think it's not that deep, bruh? And now think about this. The worst thing that could happen is for you to be on your deathbed and then realize that you didn't think about the life you're given before it's taken away. That's such a scary thought. That's the worst case scenario. What's the best case scenario? Maybe you live a very long life and that's amazing. However, you spend years, even decades, working towards a certain goal and then realize that this pursuit was meaningless. I got two types of people I want to talk about. You got someone who focuses on pleasure. He wants as much pleasure as he can on this earth. It starts with binge watching videos, gaming and doom scrolling. When he gets older, it turns to drinking alcohol, clubbing and having sex with as many people as possible. And the end of it all? Was it a life well lived? We'll see in the book of Ecclesiastes. Then you have this other type of person, which I think some of you are on your way to becoming. This is the overachiever. He aims to accomplish many things, be the top of his class, be the cream of the crop, and get a great job that makes him very rich. Marry a great spouse, have a great family, and then even exercise to have an amazing body. But after all the accomplishments, was that a life well lived? Why are there celebrities and successful people that share how unfulfilling their lives are? Why is there such a thing as a midlife crisis where adults in their 50s realize that they spend their life wrongly? We'll explore more in this book. So, the worst case scenario, if you didn't think about the meaning of life, is that you die too early, and the best case scenario is that you wasted years, even decades, working towards something that doesn't give you fulfillment. That's why we need to start thinking about this question right now. And I'm glad to share about this book when some of y'all are super young. When I was a young teen, I also started thinking of these bigger, deeper questions to life. Even my friends shared early on about how they started asking such questions at this age. It's good to know the direction early on before it's too late. So while your peers seem to live like they have a lot of time left and that they want to seek as much pleasure while you're still young, let us instead start being intentional about this one life that we have on earth. While others are having fun avoiding this question, we know that everyone has to struggle with this topic eventually. Let's do it right now by going through the book of Ecclesiastes. To give an overview of this book, it starts off really depressing. Look at the headers in the first few chapters. What word appears many times? In the NIV, it's the word meaningless. The author is describing how all these earthly pursuits are meaningless, and if you focus on those things in your life would become meaningless. But it ends off with a hopeful message. It describes how Since your life is meaningless if you focus on the earthly things instead of God, you should all the more focus on Him. If you are super unclear about what life is about, you might as well trust in the all-knowing being. That's why you should follow God and put your faith in Him. If you can't find the meaning of life on earth, perhaps you should find the meaning of life from God, who is the one who gives you life. I want to end off with quoting Johnny Chang, an ex-gang member who turned into a minister for those in prison. I pray that everyone who's listening, people who are non-believers, if you feel that emptiness and that void, and you've tried everything to fill that void, maybe you can give God a shot. He gave me hope and happiness. The same God that loves me and helps me can and will help you. My hope is that people see that's who Jesus is for everybody, not just me. That's my message to the world. I hope that will encourage you all to go about thinking about what life on this earth is about as you are on the go for Jesus.